Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Can Claressa Shields and Oleksandr Usyk, can they really drop down in weight and dominate again? And the reason I ask that question is because these are the talks that have happened and are currently happening surrounding Oleksandr Usyk and Claressa Shields. Now, as far as Oleksandr Usyk, what this man has done is nothing short of amazing. You know, dominating at cruiserweight, going up to heavyweight, dominating at heavyweight. A lot of rumors about him having a fight with Andy Ruiz coming up, and then fighting Deontay Wilder. After that, but subsequent to those two fights, he has mentioned going back down to cruiserweight and maybe trying to become undisputed again. So this is why it's even being talked about, because Usyk, as I mentioned, already became undisputed at cruiserweight, moved up, became undisputed at heavyweight. Now, the reason why I'm doing this video to talk about it, because there is a really good chance that Oleksandr Usyk signs a Zuffa Boxing. The thing about it, if Zuffa signs Usyk, what's his name is already there, Jai Opetaia. Well, then now Zuffa can control matchmaking. They can sell legacy fights. They can push historical narratives. But what's the most interesting about all this? A fight between Usyk and Jai Opetaia, is that exciting? Yeah. But a weight drop would be massive for Usyk. This man over 220 pounds. So for him to cut, first of all, for him to go back down to cruiserweight, he's leaving heavyweight money, which you'd have to give him a whole lot of respect if he were to walk away from the heavyweight paydays to go down to cruiserweight and take less money. But you just don't know with Turki Al-Sheikh if Turkey's going to still pay him big time money, because I'm telling you right now, Oleksandr Usyk and Jai Opetaia, that fight may be more competitive than, I mean, we just look at the size, you look at the styles, then Usyk facing AJ or Fury. Those guys were much bigger than him. AJ was stronger. So those fights may have been, just because of their size, a bit more of a challenge. But as far as more interesting, from the aspect of speed and natural explosiveness, yeah, Usyk and Jai Opetaia would be very interesting. But the weight drop would be massive, man, because he'd be giving up size advantages, and he'd be going to a division he already beat. And I do think that's risky, because fighters usually lose speed cutting weight again. They lose durability, they lose energy, and we all know normally when a fighter goes up in weight, they don't come back down. But I would say this. While beating Jai Opetaia would be huge, it would be huge for Usyk. Opetaia is younger. He's bigger than Usyk was. Physically, I believe he's stronger. And more importantly, Jai Opetaia is in his prime. Jai Opetaia is a beast. Raised in Australia, Samoan father, Australian mother. Jai Opetaia is no joke. And he's considered the new king of the cruiserweight division. And he's the future. You got David Benavidez out there, who's going to be fighting Zurdo Ramirez at cruiserweight. I think Benavidez beat Zurdo. I don't know what happens if Benavidez were to fight Jai Opetaia. I'd favor Jai Opetaia, but Benavidez is an animal. I feel uncomfortable even saying that. I think anybody would beat Benavidez, but I got to just go and be real about how I feel. I think Jai may get him. But the bottom line is, I say all that to say this. Jai is the future of cruiserweight. So if Usyk drops down, beats Opetaia, and somehow becomes undisputed again, that would mean he'd be two-time undisputed cruiserweight. He'd be an undisputed heavyweight champion, and he would have been out here dominating for 2 generations. I mean, shit. That would put him, we're talking about Holyfield territory, possibly above Holyfield historically, and rare air with only a few fighters ever. You know what makes him special? And I keep forgetting, Usyk, like Claressa Shields, they're both gold medalists. They both won gold medals. But what makes Usyk special, he has elite footwork, elite ring IQ, elite timing, elite distance control. And when he fights in rhythms, a lot of angles, forcing you to reset, fights in patterns. And when his opponents want to rest, that's where he makes them work. And that's why you see Usyk just takes over. He doesn't win with brute force. He uses his size. He uses his intelligence. He wins with his brain, with his stamina and precision. And when I say he wins with his size, means using his speed. He knows that he's not bigger than those guys at heavyweight, so he knows how to fight with intelligence. So if he were to go down to cruiserweight, be the same thing. Winning with his brain, with that stamina, being precise. And it would be a very, very interesting fight if Usyk were to cut weight to get back down to cruiserweight and face Jai Opetaia. That's why weight changes don't kill him like they do power fighters, because he's not really so much worried about the physicality of it. It's about this brain. Now for Claressa Shields, man, please. She already out here having conversations with Mikaela Mayer. Now, of course, Claressa still got to get past Franchon Crews on February 22nd. Her and her team, Demetrius Salita, win records, and of course her man, Pap, Poos, brrr. Look, Pap, Hood Champion talking about us. Yeah, Hood Champion is, and Hood Champion's not going to stop when it comes to boxing. Look, Claressa Shields, if she were to drop to 160 pounds from being at 175 for Mikaela Mayer, this is one way she could shut some people up. Because a lot of people feel that she doesn't want to lose the weight because she's so concerned about her appearance and wanting to look a kind of way for the public and for her man. But if she were to drop to 160, this would be historic because it would shut people up, and people, those who don't know, they would learn that, Claressa Shields already won titles at 160. She won them at 160, at 170. Claressa has won titles 5 different weight divisions. So if she beats Franchon again on February 22nd, then drops back to 160 and beats Mikaela Mayer, that's going to show that she can dominate bigger women, she can dominate faster women, she can dominate different styles, and it doesn't matter who or what you put in front of her. Claressa Shields is just going to find a way to win. And it would prove her skills aren't weight dependent. Now, of course, we do want to see her fight Shadesha Green. We don't know if that fight's going to happen. But it sounds like Claressa could be entertaining fighting her friend, Mikaela Mayer, and going down to 160 pounds. But her skills aren't weight dependent, and we know that. But I'm going to sit here and I'm going to foot stomp this. Fighters usually don't go back down because your body changes, muscle mass increases, metabolism slows, energy drops, the chin becomes vulnerable. So if Claressa does it, it's going to show something that a lot of people feel that she no longer has, which is the discipline, the focus, the genetic gifts, and the elite conditioning. And that would be amazing. Now, y'all got to remember, for those who didn't know, Usyk was a gold medalist, and of course, Claressa has 2 gold medals. She makes sure to let y'all know that, but that's something to be proud of. Something to be proud of, man. But what makes her special, Claressa does one thing: she will fight you. She has mental toughness. She does have a high volume engine. She has no fear of contact. She's there to fight. You hit her in the face, she doesn't care. She has a championship mentality. She doesn't rely just on her speed. She doesn't rely just on her power. Now, yeah, She only has 3 knockouts, but the girl out here benching 185 plus pounds. She has power. She's strong. But what she does is she wins with pressure. She wins with will. She wins with output. She wins with confidence. And just like Usyk, they both have gold medals, and they fight in layers, not just punches. So there are some similarities between Claressa Shields and Oleksandr Usyk. The two of them are connected. No matter what you may think, what I'm giving you all the facts. Usyk and Shields share Olympic pedigree, undisputed status, mental edge, confidence under pressure, willingness to chase greatness. You know, they're not out here trying to protect records. They're chasing history. And this is why going down is more dangerous than moving up, because they've already locked everything into place. You would think for Claressa, this is more for Claressa to just try to get as much money as possible. Usyk, dude made over $100 million for his last fight. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. For his last fight, yeah, I think he made over $100 million. And when he fought Tyson Fury in the second fight, he made over $100 million. Daniel Dubois made like $70 million when he fought Usyk. So for Claressa, she ain't making nothing even close to that. So you would think that would be her motivation. But anyway, going back down is more dangerous than moving up. And that's why if these two were to do that, you'd have to put some respect on the names. When you go up in weight, you're stronger, you're safer, you're less drained. When you move down, you risk your chin, you risk your cardio, you risk your sharpness, you risk being injured. So if Usyk and Claressa Shields were to succeed, it would prove true greatness. It would prove that skill is greater than size, and it proves that genetics plus discipline equals success. So, in my opinion, the message to the bettors and to the fans, if Usyk or Shields are motivated, are disciplined, are chasing history, you don't bet against their minds, you don't bet against their preparations, you don't bet against their systems. You don't bet against fighters who already beat the mountain and go back down for another one. I tell you what, I won't be betting against them if they go back down. I'll put it to you that way. Y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. Leave that donation for that fried rice and chicken wings. In the breeze.